The first warning came with a blade to my throat and a whisper that said, "Do not look at her." I was standing in the Grand Transit Hall of Cairo Station when the Royal Guard stopped me, 6 meters of obsidian armor and humming fields, tilting my chin away from the raised dais. Across the cavernous chamber, light bent around a single presence. The alien queen had arrived. Every species bowed. Every sound died. And every instinct in my body screamed the same impossible thing. She was looking at me. That was the moment everything went wrong. All right. None of us knew yet. Cairo Station was neutral ground, a cathedral of treaties suspended over a blue star. Humans had been invited as observers, barely tolerated newcomers from a death world that chewed its own children and kept going. I was a liaison officer, scarred, polite, forgettable. That was the plan. Blend in. Don't draw attention. Above all, do not approach the Queen. But attention has a gravity of its own. The Queen of TOSS entered like a controlled catastrophe. Her attendants formed a living constellation around her, translucent limbs folded in ritual geometry. Her crown was not metal but living crystal, pulsing with a slow, ancient rhythm. They said she ruled by calculus, not mercy. They said she had ended wars with a sentence and erased species with a sigh. They said if she noticed you, you would never be the same. I felt her notice me. A hush spread, thicker than vacuum. The guards tightened their ring. A warning flickered across the station's holosigils. Protocol read royal proximity. The nearest human diplomat began to sweat. Someone whispered my name like a prayer. Then the Queen stepped down from the dais. Each step echoed like a verdict. The guards parted not because they wanted to, but because the universe had decided it would be so. She crossed the hall, ignoring tables of admirals and emissaries, ignoring the seats carved for her lineage. She stopped at my table. And Saturday. Across from me. What I saw next changed everything. Her eyes were not eyes. They were histories, spiraling galaxies reflected in polished obsidian. She studied me with an intensity that stripped away rank, species, pretense. I was suddenly aware of every scar beneath my dress uniform, every bad choice etched into my bones. The guards froze. A translator drone fluttered closer, then backed away as if afraid. "You were told to stay away," the Queen said, her voice layered, one tone for sound, another for meaning. "Yes, Your Majesty," I said, "because training is a shelter when courage runs out." "And yet," she continued, tilting her head, "you are still here." Around us, the hall held its breath. Somewhere, a treaty unraveled. Somewhere else, a war paused to listen. I expected judgment. I expected death. I did not expect curiosity. She asked me about Earth. Not the resources. Not the fleet. She asked about storms that eat cities and children who learn to laugh between sirens. She asked about the scars on my hands, and why humans keep them instead of regrowing what was lost. I told her the truth. That pain teaches memory. That memory keeps us alive. That some things shouldn't be erased. But that was only the beginning. When the council reconvened, the Queen did not return to the dais. She remained across from me, her presence rewriting the room's geometry. Delegates argued in careful circles, skirting the impossible. The Queen had chosen a human table. Protocol screamed. Logic protested. Emotion, human emotion, surged like a tide. Then came the challenge. An envoy from the Galaxy rose, feathers bristling. This violates the accords. The Queen's proximity confers intent. If the human is harmed. The Queen raised one finger. Silence fell like a guillotine. If the human is harmed, she said softly, the accords will be the least of your concerns. None of us were prepared for the truth. Because the Queen leaned forward and said, "Tell me why your people do not kneel to gods." The question struck like lightning. I answered without thinking. Because gods don't bleed. And when they do, they don't ask for help. A ripple passed through her attendants. The Queen's crown pulsed faster. For the first time, I saw something like relief. At the midpoint of the convocation, when alliances calcify and lies become permanent, the Queen dismissed the hall. She rose, and I rose with her, every instinct warning me this was the cliff edge. "Walk with me," she said. They tried to stop us. They failed. We walked the outer ring where the star burned blue and beautiful. She told me of Taoises, of a people who mastered logic to survive a dying homeworld, who culled emotion as weakness. She told me of a prophecy buried in forbidden archives. When the Queen chooses the scarred one, the calculus breaks. I laughed. A nervous, human sound. You sat with me because of a prophecy. I sat with you, she said, because when you looked at me, you did not calculate. You remembered. Then the attack came. A bloom of fire tore through the station's rim. Emergency fields snapped on. Alarms screamed. The Galaxy had moved early, fear always does. Guards rushed. The Queen did not flinch. She turned to me. "Stay here," she ordered. I didn't. I ran into fire because that's what humans do when the math says no and the heart says now. I dragged a wounded technician from a collapsing corridor. I sealed a breach with my own body while field stabilized. I bled into my uniform and laughed again, because fear had nowhere left to live. When I returned, limping, the Queen was standing alone amid the chaos, her attendants fallen to defensive patterns. She looked at me, really looked. "What you did," she said, "defies optimal survival." "Yeah," I said. "We get that a lot. The war that should have followed never came." In the emergency council, the Queen spoke once. She declared Karos under her protection. She named the Galaxy's strike a violation not of treaty, but of meaning. She offered peace with a condition no algorithm could refute. "The human," she said, placing a hand over my heart, "will speak for Taoises when logic fails." The Galaxy recoiled. Then it leaned in. Weeks later, as repairs hummed and diplomats rewrote history, I asked her why me. Why sit? Why choose? She answered with a question of her own. "When you were told to stay away, why did you not?" I thought of Earth. Of storms. Of scars. "Because distance doesn't make danger disappear," I said. "It just makes it harder to save each other." She smiled. It was small. It was seismic. The last night before she departed, we sat again across from each other, the blue star painting us in shared light. "You changed the calculus," she said. "You reminded us that survival without connection is just a longer death." "And you?" I asked. "I learned," the Queen said, "that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the room is a human who refuses to look away." Her ship departed at dawn. The hall returned to noise. Orders changed. Protocols evolved. And somewhere between the warnings and the silence, the Galaxy took its first step toward something braver. Because when they ordered me to stay away, the alien queen chose to sit across from me, and the universe decided to listen.